All right, so we are live, and we are going to be divulging something. Well, there's going to be a lot of information here about going beyond selling on Amazon because the holiday season is right around the corner, and now is the right time to make sure you have your ducks in a row so that you can maximize it both on Amazon and off Amazon. And it's all about getting products to the right people. And so to help us with that, I am super excited that we have Meg Glavey joining us from ShipBob. So, Meg, thank you for joining us here on this live stream today.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much for having us. We're really excited to be here, and I'm excited to divert.
Yeah, some words that I was looking
for. Some the DI words. Get started and sort of dig in. That's another DI word. Dig into all.
Dig in. We're going to be doing a lot of things. So, exactly. Folks, for those of you who are watching us, sometimes people make fun of participation trophies. I do from time to time reward participation. So you never know when it's going to be. So if I say make sure to comments or ask a question, you never know. I may be rewarding that at some point in time. So just want to make sure that we have everyone able to hear us. If you don't mind, I know this is a little bit of a paranoia in my mind, but for whatever reason, technology is great until it's not. Maybe I'm just a little old and scared of the technology. But if you don't mind, to make sure you can hear me, put an emoji to describe your feelings on the upcoming holiday season. So use an emoji. And again, we will reward participation and creativity for this one. But the best way to do that is just put in the chat, just an emoji, pick an emoji to describe this coming holiday season, and we will go over all of those here in just a second. So while everyone's putting in their emoji, Meg, just a quick little rundown. Who are you and who is ShipBob?
Yeah, so my name is Meg. I am a partner manager at ShipBob. I've been at ShipBob for 4 years. I just had my 4-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, ShipBob is a tech-enabled third-party logistics platform program solution for direct-to-consumer brands. And we can do more than just direct-to-consumer. So we can do Amazon fulfillment. We also do retail distribution, ship into store, and drop ship. So a number of brands that are working with us are leveraging us for more than just one solution. So as a partner manager, I manage our relationships with consultancies, agencies, solutions that help our brands on the channels that they sell on, such as my Amazon guy, right? So helping our brands matchmake with partners that can make sure that they see better success, more volume, more interest, more eyes on their brand on the platforms that they're selling.
Yeah, and that's a great way to phrase it. And I appreciate you saying that, because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to help everybody maximize the returns on the efforts and their investment in their inventory and things of that nature. Because if you're like me, my business is very holiday focused. And so I do a lot of sales around the holidays. So it's all about how do I maximize that? And so I learned something today that you taught me before we hit the live button. And that is the term multi-channel fulfillment is not just a term that means multi-channels of fulfilling. It's actually a registered trademark of Amazon. And so,
yeah. So Amazon's MCF is ShipBob, right? So if we think about like Parity, if we think about like a Walmart fulfillment service, WFS, ShipBob, or Shopify Fulfillment Network, SFN, MCF is an acronym of Amazon. So that's their multi-channel fulfillment platform. So the way that you can fulfill to different channels on Amazon.
Got it. So ShipBob helps people go beyond Amazon. So we'll call it omni-channel fulfillment. And I've heard of ShipBob for years, and there's a few things I didn't realize is that ShipBob is the fulfillment engine for some other major platforms that people might have heard of.
Yeah. Really, really, really cool and very exciting to be a part of TikTok Shop when they went to market last year. We were the primary and sort of white label fulfillment partner behind the FBT program, or Fulfillment by TikTok. There's another acronym that seems a little bit made up, but anyone that's selling, shipping, fulfilling, interfacing on TikTok knows that TikTok came up with their own answer to FBA to really be competitive with Amazon in the space and help brands get familiar with the platform. You know, TikTok was net new for every brand that was selling on it. So to have that competitive edge and gain that market share as a platform, they knew it was really, really important that they had a ready-made, ready-baked solution to offer brands that wanted to fulfill and sell on the platform. So they came to ShipBob and we launched a go-to-market product when the channel launched back in September. So it's been incredible working super closely with their team and helping them kind of shape their fulfillment offering and their understanding of fulfillment in lockstep with us. So yeah, incredible experience, and really has kind of selfishly and maybe sort of like self-congratulatory, has like put us in this vaunted position of being really the only 3PL or third-party logistics platform in the US that understands TikTok fulfillment quite like we do.
Got it. So basically, if someone is doing fulfilled by TikTok, it's ShipBob that's sending it to the
Yeah, with some caveats. TikTok does manage some of the kind of the logistics of like inbounding, returns, things of that nature. It's a case by case basis. We're a node in the network. So yeah, a good portion of that could be actually fulfilling through our warehouse, through our network, using our carrier labels and our logistics solution. So, the way we actually inject packages into the carrier network, into the sortation network.
Got it. Okay. Well, we've got some questions that are starting to come in regarding shipping. Folks, if you have questions, add them into the comments now, whether it be, shipping, omni-channel fulfillment, which we may think of as multi-channel fulfillment, fulfilling to other channels, looking to alternatives to FBA. This year, it doesn't seem like people are quite as worried about the amount of space they have at FBA, but there does seem to be a lot of concern about like fees and inbound fees and all this and this and that. So all these fees that Amazon keeps adding. So if you're looking for alternatives and to make sure that you stay in stock, ShipBob has a lot of, knowledge, whether you use ShipBob or not. Meg is a great resource. We're excited to have her here. So getting back to some folks that, did comment, LinkedIn user, so generic user. So we're not sure who this person is, but it says, thanks for all of this. Oh, it's our pleasure. It's absolutely our pleasure. So always best to allow the platforms to show your name. So that way we can give you credit and give you a shout out. But we can give a shout out here to Bala's Bureau, which I probably said incorrectly. It looks like a little bit of a, not sure how this Q4 season is going to go. So I'll do this, Bala's Bureau, for being the first person to comment with an emoji. Email kevin@myamazonguide.com. Just like it sounds, KEVIN at myamazonguide.com. I'll get you access to our CTR course, which will give you the knowledge and the tools to have better main images on Amazon. So you get higher click-through rates, so you get higher ranking and more sales. We've seen people as much as triple their traffic by implementing some of the strategies that we'll show you. So I'll give you that absolutely for free, $100 value. Just email kevin@myamazonguide.com. And if I don't email you back within like 2 days, just keep nudging me because sometimes that email goes to junk, but I'll try to keep an eye out for it. Nathan says, I can hear you. Big eyes, I guess, big eyes looking out for the future of this holiday season. Becca, looks like kind of like a frozen smile emoji. So Becca might be a little concerned or
cold.
Or cold, yes. Thinking about the cold that's coming up. Although I don't experience the cold down here in Florida, but I believe you're up in the Midwest. And so is it starting to cool down for you?
It's officially started to cool down. We're in the kind of weird fall rainy season. It was in 90 degrees on Saturday, and then on Sunday it was 65. So
oh wow,
just right on time. Yeah, the final day of summer went out evening, first day of fall weather.
Well, it's here. It's here. And Q4 is literally 7 days away. We're 1 week away from Q4. All right, and an easy stud rack says text yellow goal. So for whatever reason, the StreamYard did not render your emoji, but I'm sure it was wonderful. So with those emojis, which one did you like the best?
Me.
Yes, Meg. Putting you on the spot.
Ooh. Okay. Well, yellow. I love the yellow's text yellow goal. I would love to see what that looks like. I'm curious to know more. So I can't say that maybe that's my favorite because I don't know, but definitely stood out. The one that we can't render, I'm the most curious about.
Okay, well, let's see. Yellow goal emoji. Let's see if we can find that online. Oh, it might be that they got a goal in soccer. This is not official.
Okay.
But according to my very brief Google search. Maybe it's this.
Oh, cool. Okay, well, I hope that implies that you are crushing your Q4 prep.
Yes, yes. I have some goals for the future.
Goals, yeah. Okay, fantastic.
So which one are we picking?
Maybe, yellow goal.
All right, so easy stud rack with the finger pointed up and the goals and everything. Email me, Kevin at myamazonguy.com. I'll also give you our CTR course. So that's 2 giveaways we've already done, and we will probably give away more. So just stick around because I like to give stuff away. Maybe Steven will be mad at me for giving away too much stuff, but I'll deal with that on the back end. Actually, I say that all the time. He's never mad at me.
He's never mad. Yeah.
No, he's
never been
mad.
A conversation.
Yes. It's more like, oh, well, did you get more engagement out of it? Yeah. Okay, good. All right. So we're starting to get some questions. Now, one of the things to keep in mind with questions when we do these Q&As is it's kind of like if you were in high school or in college where the teacher would say, hey, does anyone have any questions? And everybody stood around or sat around staring at each other. Nobody wanted to ask a question until like 1 or 2 people started asking questions and everybody asked questions. And then at the end, they ran out of time and people that had questions didn't get their question in, but they would have if they asked them earlier. So we are starting to get some questions coming in, which I will get to those. So looks like easy stud rack. This is quite the, I'm wondering if it has to do with like studs. Like, put it in your wall, like to create
hanging something up. That's
hanging something up. It's probably what that is. The CTR course, you might not have been around when I was talking about it before. It is our course where we'll show you how to create more clickable images for Amazon, ones your customers are going to be more intrigued by and more likely to click on, so you can as much as triple your traffic on Amazon. So CTRs and click-through rates will help you improve your click-through rates. Barb Teresa says, hello, everyone. Well, hello to you as well. And let's start getting into some questions. So again, ask your questions. The best time to ask your question is now, because if you wait until the closer to the top of the hour, we may run out of time. I don't know, but we'll find out. And we have a tendency to run out of time. And oftentimes I have all these questions that I just couldn't get around to answering because we didn't have enough time. So the best time to ask is now. This question, I'm not sure if this is something you're able to help with. I requested German tax number a few months ago via Amazon, and I can only contact the provider on email. They're very slow to respond. They're not replying for more than 2 weeks. Any suggestions?
Yeah, I have a couple of initial thoughts there. I mean,
sure.
With some degree of limited knowledge on my side about tax compliance as it relates to Amazon and using Amazon as your tax compliance kind of provider or like registering through Amazon. Quite a few of our brands are launching into new regions, are looking to store inventory, which has its own degree of tax compliance. If you like, for example, if you wanted to use Amazon FBA, or if you wanted to use a ShipBob warehouse in Australia or in the EU or the UK, we really advise working with specifically with a tax consultant. We work with a number of them. I'm happy to follow up. I can send my email. I'll leave my email in the comments, and I can send you like a short list of the partners that we do work with, just in terms of getting a little bit of a faster response rate and then being actually specialized in tax compliance and getting you a registered tax ID in the country that you're looking for. Amazon, we love Amazon. Obviously, we're here under the guise of our love of Amazon Marketplace, but responsiveness is not always there. So again, probably makes sense to go with a partner that's specifically focused on tax compliance and can help you with your German EIN registration. So again, I will add my email in the chat and shoot me an email and we can send you some partners that we recommend.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing to keep in mind is having gone through, I've tax set up in like Germany, for example, they're not fast. So one thing I will say about the European Union is think of everything you don't like about, no offense to the folks that we'll just pick on them because that's who people pick on in the US, the DMV, where you get your driver's license. Everything you don't like about the DMV is just magnified with German tax authorities or a lot of government officials in some of these other countries. Nothing against them. It's just their way of doing things is not as fast as maybe especially if somebody's watching this from the United States. But maybe it's also worth having someone who is more directly working with you than working with Amazon in order to work with you as your tax compliance provider. So that might be worth doing. So definitely reach out to Meg. All right. So Nathan says, I'm getting wrecked by costs of shipping my inventory into fulfillment centers. My price per box shipped to Amazon went from about $8 to now $19. Is there any way to minimize this?
Nathan, I have a follow-up question for you, but I don't know about the interface of the chat if we can do that. Are you using Amazon to ship into their facility? Are you using FBA? Or are you using your own rates from the carriers? I just need a little bit more context there. I think, but on the price predictability front, working with a 3PL where you can lock in rates for the entirety of the calendar year, it's really, really important, especially as we get into peak season. If you leave yourself kind of vulnerable to like price fluctuations, price hikes that you can see around the holidays. In January, there's a GRE, which is the general rate the general rate increase, which is every carrier raises their rates. Some 3PLs actually absorb those costs and don't pass them on to the customer, ShipBob being one of them. So again, locking in with those rates where you can see exactly what you're going to pay through the year, and you can be able to predict, okay, if I know that I'm going to send X more amount of volume ahead of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I'm not going to see that. I'm not going to see my shipping costs 3x, 5x. Okay, using the Amazon shipping platform, yeah. Famously, Amazon does not lock in carrier rates. So let's have a conversation about, again, getting you on a pricing table that you can predict and model through the calendar year. Amazon ship into facilities, so ship into FBA rates are increasing. And then I've also heard rumblings from our prospects, from our customers, folks on our side that we work with MCF, Amazon multi-channel fulfillment, rates are going up on their side as well. So inbound and outbound rates at Amazon across the board are increasing. So let's have a conversation. There should be a link in the banner. Again, I'm going to join the chat and I'm going to get my email. There we go. Yep, there's the link in the banner. So if you can fill that out, or if you want to shoot me over an email, I can give you some guidance there.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And another thing it could be is that, and I'm sure you've probably heard rumblings about this, Meg, that earlier this year, they rolled out new fees. And one of the new fees was the inbound placement fee, I believe is what they called it. And at first we thought like, oh, okay, well, if we just ship it to multiple warehouses, we can skip that. Well, oftentimes you don't even get that opportunity. So you can potentially skip that using Amazon warehousing and distribution, which I was all excited about sending one actually last week. But then it was actually going to be 3 times more expensive to ship a pallet to AWD than it would be to just send parcels locally, because they wanted me to send it to California and I'm in Florida, which made absolutely no sense to me. And then they had their own fees for AWD. So I was like, I'm not really saving anything by doing that. So that is an interesting point, which you had talked about, the multi-channel fulfillment parts or the omni-channel. So if you're planning on using Amazon for fulfilling off Amazon orders, keep in mind you're still paying them those rates for those fees when you send it in. So that can definitely get expensive. So that's part of the equation if you are going to use Amazon for off Amazon fulfilling.
Yeah, what do you see on your side? I'm curious for my Amazon Guy customers, the AWD conversation, fulfillment costs, kind of curious to see it from your side.
Yeah, so with AWD, Amazon Warehouse and Distribution, it's basically you can send in, you're sending in pallets of, and it could be mixed pallets, but the cases themselves have to be single SKU. And there are some challenges with it. For whatever reason, I have a product, it's in kitchen and dining. I sent screenshots to Amazon to show that, but they wouldn't let me. And this was another issue I had with AWD. It wasn't allowing me to send it into AWD because it was jewelry. I'm like, it's not jewelry. And they're like, well, you put it there. And I was like getting into this circular conversation with seller support of like, well, you're going to have to change it. Where do I change it? Oh, it's product_classes. I'm like, I've never heard of product_classes.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, I'm like it's some field or something, but like I doubt that's actually what it's called. And so I kept asking them, they're like, well, you'll just have to change it. I'm like, where? Like I searched the category listings report, which is basically like a spreadsheet of your, catalog of, each column is a field in Seller Central. I couldn't find anywhere where this was. And nowhere did I see jewelry, anything that even hinted at jewelry. And they're basically just like, well, you'll have to fix it. I'm asking you how. So it was one of those, frustrating conversations. I was getting nowhere. So AWD is an option, but it may not be an option. So if folks do run into issues where they want to send stuff into Amazon, that's, I have a warehouse, but not everybody has a warehouse. And so some people need another fulfillment center. So,
I just want to drill down on that really quickly.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's, like, when you compile your shipment into Amazon, you've got the physical component, but the digital component, and you make sure that you have to have everything has to map properly, correctly. That's like a perfect example of some of the pain points that brands, see before they come to a solution where that can be automated. Mm-hmm. On the FBA side, not specifically to AWD, but for FBA, we actually do automated digital, both, like, we can automate the physical picking and packing of the palletization and parcelization to ship into Amazon FBA. But we can also we have an API that pings FBA that actually communicates all of the pallet build and the parcel build back to Amazon. So you don't need to do that and input that manually. So again, like, if you're looking, like, there's always going to be issues, there's going to be glitches, there's going to be, you need to reach out to Amazon for clarification on. But if you can find a partner that has found a way to automate that and to take advantage of kind of all of the technology and the advancement that we've made in our API and our relationship with Amazon, being able to kind of level up through that, that's kind of for us, that's a no-brainer. Like, when we talk to brands and we present our FBA product, they get really, really, really excited about what we can do on the automation side.
Gotcha. All right. Very good point, because there's a lot you can do with your inventory. So the days of sending in, like, I've got, I almost said pallet, a container. I was like, it's on the tip of my tongue. A container that you got from China or wherever and sending it into FBA and just calling it a day, those days are pretty much gone. So, you got to find somebody to help you with, because Amazon's going to hit you up if you have not enough inventory, and they're going to hit you up if you have too much inventory. And if you send it in, they're going to hit you up too. So how do you avoid some of those fees? And then also decrease some of your reliance on Amazon. So we've got a few people asking some other questions here. I was just looking through some of the questions. And someone's asking a question about reimbursements, which that's a whole other topic here. And then we also have Easy Stud Rack says, yep, I'm shipping 5 bulk boxes minimum at a time versus 1 pallet with 18 boxes, which I guess is what they're sending into Amazon. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, let's use my example of, I have a container on a ship that's coming over from China, and I want to make sure I'm set up and ready for success. And I'm saying, okay, I was thinking about using Amazon for my off Amazon. Everybody's talking about this TikTok thing. Maybe I need to figure out TikTok a little bit more. If I send in a container to, let's say, ShipBob, for example, what is the lifespan of that? Like, do I have to allot some of that for, I'm sure some of it you guys could ship to FBA, but then of the remaining part, do I have the ability to say, it's all one big pool of inventory, or some of that have to be pushed off for like TikTok fulfillment?
Yeah, it's one pool of inventory. So if you use ShipBob, whatever inventory that you send to us, we can allocate to Amazon, to Walmart, to Shopify, to WooCommerce, to retail distribution. We have unit of measure, so we can conceive of a pallet as X number of units. That's really our competitive edge and our advantage is one pool of inventory, no matter where you are in our network. So not only is it a pool of inventory, but it's a pool of inventory that's an aggregate of all of the inventory that you have stored in every single one of our facilities. So we're able to pivot, if we're low stock in one facility, we can pivot to the next, and we can, ship into retail distribution or ship into FBA from our facility in Southern California, just as we can from our facility outside of Chicago. So it's one pool of inventory, but it also represents the entirety of the network where you're storing inventory with us.
No, that's good. And I know one pain point a lot of people have is we've all seen the dreaded FC transfer. So basically, as I'm sure you're probably familiar, Amazon will receive your inventory and then they'll ship it around. I'm starting to notice, and I'd love to hear in the comments if people have seen similar. It seems like it's taking longer for products to go from reserved and FC transfer status to being available for customers. And that does seem to be a concern, is that, this year they've bumped up the date to be ready for Black Friday. They want your inventory in by October 19th. And then basically for the holiday season, they basically said come November 11th, they're not receiving inventory. They say that every year, but it's not 100% true. But your inventory just ends up in FC transfer status, which I think just means they checked it in if they got around to checking it in. And then maybe it just sits on the truck in the back dock until they get around to moving it around wherever they feel like it.
It's in purgatory.
Yes, exactly. So it stays in purgatory. So what services does ShipBob offer to help folks with alleviating that pain point, even if it's just as a backup to FBA inventory?
Yeah, so we have FBM available too as well. So if you have that flexibility in your relationship with Amazon, if you need to pivot away from FBA because you have product that's stuck in purgatory and you want to link your API to be able to accept orders yourselves and ship them out, we can ship them out on your behalf. We have an asynchronous API with FBM. It's probably one of our most popular plugins that's downloaded the brands that work with us. So that's pretty cool and that's exciting. So you have that opportunity. We have our own answer to inventory transfer, our IPP program. So we do have automated redistribution throughout our network. The benefit of that is that we own that entire network. We own the carrier relationships. There's our full container load trucks of ShipBob product. We operate a hub and spoke model. So, the hub is where all the inbound inventory is processed, and then it's distributed out to the spokes. But then if you need to, move inventory from spoke to spoke, all of that inventory goes back to the hub. So there's many, many, many points of kind of that digital handshake, or like that digital record of where exactly the product is. Same for FBA, again, because it's owned by the ShipBob logistics platform and process. You're going to have carrier scans. You're going to have chain of command acknowledgements all the way up until it leaves to go to Amazon. So you have that peace of mind on the ShipBob side on the front end. Unfortunately, what happens when it gets to Amazon is out of our control. But again, having a little bit more peace of mind on the front end with your provider. So you're having conversations with Amazon that say, actually, I know for sure that this shipped. We're still waiting for that acknowledgement for that carrier scan. It helps it helps with your leverage. It helps in the conversation. Things go a little bit more smoothly when you're dealing with a behemoth like Amazon. So we have a couple of ways that we can approach it. You can pivot to FBM. You can leverage our IPP program. Do
you guys do seller fulfilled Prime?
We do not currently do seller fulfilled Prime. Yeah, we have had conversations in the past, and we are actually the only not Amazon 3PL that uses Amazon shipping as a carrier, which is really cool. That's, again, another huge competitive advantage that we have. Right now, it just doesn't make sense for our technology and for our brand experience. If we open up the floodgates of seller fulfilled Prime, we want to make sure that we can support it 100%. We're not just there yet. We're not there yet. Yeah.
But it sounds like you still have inventory that can be spread out to get relatively fast shipping times.
Yeah, we have a 2-day carrier option that's pretty competitive price wise and guarantees 2-day delivery. It's unfortunate because we can't use that language, the nomenclature of SFP, but the customer experience is really probably no different.
Well, good deal.
Yeah.
All right, and I like that you can have a pool of inventory that could be used for TikTok and even be considered fulfilled by TikTok, which I'm not very familiar with that. Does that give any sort of, at least you've heard, algorithmic favorability, like they're more likely to showcase your product if it's fulfilled by TikTok than if it's shipping it from your own warehouse or home?
Yeah, we never heard that admitted. I have my suspicions that it does help. And then I also, similar to Amazon, TikTok really, really heavily manages and monitors shipping and fulfillment performance. So you have to have a shop score, TikTok shop score of 2.5 or higher to qualify for a number of subsidies, both free shipping, subsidies like actual like cost off the order, sales, like access to campaigns, so like influencer campaigns that actually get more eyes on your product. All of that is accessible to you as a brand when you reach that shop score of 2.5 or higher. And a huge weighted average, like a big piece of that is fulfillment performance. So are you meeting the SLA? So is the order shipping out on time, and is it getting to the end customer on time?
Got it. And that could still work if you're
using FBT, you're always meeting that, right? Because it's TikTok
true
platform. Yeah. So inadvertently, absolutely. But I've never heard it expressed explicitly that beyond TikTok shop score that they're training the algorithm on FBT customers.
Got it. There's always been the belief, and I totally believe it is true, that if you have an FBA offer, you're more likely to rank and more likely to get the buy box if you're competing for the buy box on a product. So I'm curious if, I wouldn't be surprised if, even if they've never stated it, TikTok is still getting some sort of favorability to FBT, because at least there would be more visibility on their end on the data. All right. So next question that comes in is from Nathan. Is there a minimum threshold for using ShipBob that would make sense? So how should I think about that? I'm a relatively small Amazon biz, about $5,000 in sales a year. So regardless of what the number is there a number for a seller of, they should work with a 3PL like ShipBob?
Yeah, I think, it varies from 3PL to 3PL. ShipBob, we have a self-onboarding platform. We have a number of brands that are like sub 400 shipments a month that work with us. It's total. You can actually self-onboard with ShipBob without ever interacting with someone from our sales team or our implementation team. Like we pride ourselves in our tech being very sort of didactic and easy to use. So on the ShipBob side, I would say no. I think it's a matter of running your P&L, working with your co-founder, working with your head of operations, whoever it may be on your team, and understanding, okay, right now it seems like we have the human capital to ship out the orders that we're doing, but does it make sense? Like based on our growth growth trajectory, what we're looking to do in the next 3 to 6 months, like when is the optimal time to outsource? That's going to be brand dependent. And I think for some 3PLs, there's some degree of cost involved, right? You have to take into account now that you're going to basically cross-stock your freight from wherever you're producing. Whenever it gets into the US or wherever it's coming from, you need to add another layer or chain and that link in the chain. So you have to, account for what the cost would be for that. And on the carrier rate side, it always makes sense to work with a 3PL, right? You represent such a small amount of volume compared to a 3PL network, according to the carriers. So you're usually going to see more competitive rates if you are taking advantage of the network advantages available to you if you outsource to a larger volume provider. So always something to think about. I think, again, like 5,000 shipments a month or 5,000 sales a year, that's a pretty small number, but I'm assuming that you want to grow that. So having a conversation about like, okay, if we're able to outsource the volume that we currently have, how can we reinvest our time, reinvest our abilities in growing our brand? That's really, really the crux of why it makes sense to outsource your business. And again, that's going to be a conversation that you have internally. But if you're interested in learning more about our growth onboarding plan and how easy it is to get started with ShipBob, even if you have relatively nominal volume, fill out the form that we have linked in the banner, and someone from our team will get back to you and we can kind of walk you through that process and what the benefits would look like.
Great. All right. So then next up we have, I lost the questions. There we go. Barb Teresa asks, I was wondering whether I could schedule a meeting with someone just to go over some general questions. I'm a beginner and unsure what direction to go. It's a good learning experience, but now I'm unsure.
Okay, so beginner and unsure what direction to go. Good learning experience, but now I'm unsure. Do you mean learning experience on the Amazon side, working with Amazon, working with a 3PL? I think again, I'm going to link. I've asked the organizer if we want to put my email on the banner too. I think there's a lot of like really good questions that beget some follow up and some, a conversation with me and the person who's asking. So just shoot me an email because I'm curious to hear what you mean by that. If that means working with 3PL, you have some questions about, or with Amazon in particular, or just link in the comments.
Yes, I will create a banner here on the fly with the email.
Yeah, no worries. I tried to join the chat and put my email, but it wouldn't let me for some reason.
Oh, gotcha.
There we go. Easy. Perfect.
Yes. So mglavy@shipbob.com.
Yeah, Barb, shoot me an email.
I'll throw that up on occasion here. All right. So, and if your question is more about Amazon, you could always go to myamazonguy.com/coach, COACH, and schedule a coaching call with one of our experts. We're more than happy to meet with you, and it's probably worth it to do both. Reach out to Meg and her team to help you figure out logistics, and reach out to our team and help you how to make sales.
Yeah.
All right. So going back to the questions, do you think sellers that stick to AWD/FBA within the next 2 to 3 years? Okay. Do you think sellers will stick to AWD FBA within the next 2 to 3 years? Because TikTok Shop is growing fast, and with their warehouse, Walmart MCS is recently launched. Fees are pretty insane. With Amazon ? Yeah, fees keep going.
Fees are insane. Yeah, fees keep going up.
Yeah, that's not a question. I'll just say
inevitable. Yeah, that's a statement. That's an unalienable truth. Yeah.
Yes.
I think from our side, I would be shocked to see if there was this wholesale abandonment of Amazon, AWD, and FBA, only because of the things that we've just we've sort of vaguely touched on the idea that you can win the buy box, you will have more favorable search results, you will see more favorable volume if you're using their native fulfillment service. I think that what you're asking and the different services that you're calling out is a perfect kind of jumping off point to where omnichannel is going, which is that sellers have their inventory in many different pots, if you will, many different pools. So the idea that you can go and shop around and see what makes sense for your brand. I want to be selling on TikTok. I want to be working with Amazon. Walmart's on Walmart's on the roadmap. Shop around, see what makes the most sense for your brand. It might make sense to leverage their native fulfillment offerings. And then it also might make sense to go omni-channel and work with a provider and with a solution that can support shipping into all of those different fulfillment solutions that are native to the platform that you're selling on. But I think what we're just going to see is many different versions of FBA, but we're not going to see a wholesale abandonment of FBA, if you will, because TikTok is not what TikTok's building with FBT and what they're building with their fulfillment platform. They're not reinventing the wheel. They're copying pretty much to the T the Amazon playbook. So, in that case, by that logic, then TikTok would be the new FBA and AWD in 5 years, right? So I don't think that that's going to happen. I think you're still going to see a lot of investment from brands in working with the fulfillment provider for the marketplace. But again, what makes sense for your brand? Does it make sense to have product in all those different places and managing all those different warehouses? Or does it make sense to work with a provider that can ship into all of those places and you have one central pool of inventory and pool of data? Again, different for each brand, benefits and drawbacks to both.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I totally agree with you that FBA is not going away. I mean, I forget the number, but the number of people that have Prime, and with Prime comes free, Prime shipping, which you get free Prime shipping if you're an FBA seller. So Amazon wants that, and they want the control over that. And AWD is just creating another layer of control. But I think we're also seeing that there's a little bit of a pushback. I think Amazon's gotten more pushback on fees this year than I've ever seen in the past. And usually it's more like an annoyance, but it's the fee for not enough inventory, the fee for too much, and there's so many conflicting metrics. It's different teams have different metrics and they just throw it all at us at the seller. So I think sellers as much as it's great to work with Amazon because, they've got the traffic, they've got the customers,
Right.
They're not going away. But I do think we're going to start seeing more and more opportunity off of Amazon. And like, I literally just myself created my first listing on TikTok Shop. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, yesterday I've had a TikTok Shop account for like a year and I did nothing with it. But yesterday I went ahead and submitted my trademark and my LLC and got approved like within minutes, I think. So maybe it was just algorithmically approved and not by a person, but either way, it got approved. And so I created my first listing and I was like, oh, this is actually a pretty easy experience. So I'll have to go in and see if I've had any influencers ask me to promote the product. Luckily, I at least know of one person who's a influencer on TikTok and be like, hey, just go in and ask. I'll approve.
Yeah, start that. That's like a jumping off point.
Exactly.
Helps. I mean, that helps with the organic and the believability of like the organic content if you actually know them. So, and they can stand behind your brand. That's something
exactly.
you guys out on the creative side. Yeah, I think that brands are going to be looking for more in the same way that brands are looking for options beyond just D2C for different reasons, right? D2C, the customer acquisition cost and the ad space buying is getting really expensive. Amazon, the problem is that the fees are getting really expensive.
Yes.
We see Amazon kind of copying like a retailer fulfillment model, like a chargeback model where you do get nickel and dimed. I think that when, to kind of avoid that or lessen the blows, work with a provider that can help you audit your chargebacks that you're seeing from Amazon. There's a lot of providers out there on the market that can do that. Actually, they can automate it. So they'll have, they'll like receive like the reporting from Amazon in terms of like your OTIF, so on time and full rate. That's, the nomenclature, the phrase that's used on the retail side. Shop around for some providers that can really help you kind of understand like what your bill from Amazon is and get into the weeds a little bit. Because again, Amazon's not going away. It probably doesn't make sense as a brand to completely abandon Amazon and Amazon fulfillment, especially if you have that relationship with Amazon. It's just working a little bit smarter in your relationship to not feel like you're just paying out the nose as a brand to have access to your customers, to have access to the traffic.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Amazon having some healthy competition is good actually for Amazon. I mean, like having a monopoly didn't work out well for the original AT&T, right. Which, I know there's AT&T around now, but that was really just basically they had to be split up and one of the, I think it was Southwestern Bell ended up buying everybody and it became AT&T again. But, there's a lot of companies that, the monopoly of whatchamacallits, VHS rentals didn't work out for Blockbuster. And so if Amazon is forced to be more competitive and to work more, it's only going to help them in the long run. So I think it's to everyone's benefit that Amazon has a little more healthy competition. We as sellers, unlike if you have a State Farm agency where you can only sell State Farm insurance, with this, you can sell all kinds of stuff. And you don't have to just sell on Amazon. That is the one nice thing is they don't make you be exclusive.
Yeah, I think that's like probably the most important takeaway here is, right, you just never want to put all your eggs in one basket. You as a brand are sort of vulnerable to the whims or the fluctuations of the marketplace. Like whims. Yeah. I mean, like TikTok Shop. TikTok Shop is constantly changing their SLAs, constantly changing their requirements, constantly changing their thresholds for subsidies. So it's really worth your time to kind of invest your time, invest in knowledge and in understanding all of the requirements and kind of keeping on top of them, but also don't be shy to go out into the market to look for solutions, whether they be technology, agency, fulfillment, who can do a little bit of that work for you. So you don't need to necessarily become an expert in Amazon fulfillment to feel like you're succeeding and sort of clearing a margin on the marketplace.
Yeah, good point. All right. So if you have more questions, feel free to drop them into the chat, into the comment, whether you're watching us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, wherever. We will we'll get to those. We are starting to run out of time. So if you have questions, now is the time to drop them in. So Barb Teresa says, thank you for the email. We'll contact you. So if you wanted Meg's email, where did I hide that? There we go. I'm on the fly here. All right. mglavy@shipbob.com. You could screenshot that real quick if you wanted to and send Meg email. She's more than happy to walk you through potential opportunities for fulfillment and whatnot. Then going back to the questions, we have Easy Stud Rack, which I love that name. I want to grow into other markets, but I'm old school with technology. Can you suggest someone/group that can help me get set up through other marketplaces, Walmart, TikTok, da-da-da?
Yeah, so I have a couple of different answers there. So I think if you're looking for relationships with the retailers, brokers are a great place to start. We have a number of broker partners and retail strategist partners that we work with. What they do is really introduce you to the platform. If there's any barrier to entry, or if the retailer gatekeeps access to their shelves or to their .com space, then you'll need an intermediary that can help you with introductions to those retailers. So reach out to me. We have a ton of retail strategy broker partners that can help with those introductions. So that's one thing to think about. It's like actually connecting with the retailer and having the retailer be interested in selling your brand. I think on the technology side, actually connecting your store can be a bit of a headache. I really, really recommend working with what we would maybe call like an aggregator or a connector, a one-to-many connector. So a technology solution that allows you to connect into multiple different channels and streamline data across those channels. And what that I mean is, if you sell a product on Amazon and it's the same product that you sell on TikTok, it's a hassle to go on Amazon and set up that product on Amazon and then also set up that same product on TikTok. And let's say you work with ShipBob. ShipBob's going to see that as the same product, but on those two different channels, let's say you might have a hard time keeping up with the inventory, what that looks like. You know, Amazon inventory, TikTok inventory, they're the same product. And if your fulfillment provider thinks that they're the same product, you're going to have some issues with, stock outs and making sure that your inventory data is really, really clean. So if you work with a one-to-many connector, they'll see those products as the same product and your inventory will reflect that. That's a really important and super, super easy thing to implement once you do get started on multiple channels. Again, it just takes a lot of the headache, the manual labor, the reconciling that you or your team would have to do. And then it makes it so much easier to get on a new channel. If you work with a connector like a Channel Engine or a Symbio, Prime Penguin is someone that we work with a lot. They have great out-of-the-box connections with TikTok Shop, with Walmart Marketplace, with Shopify, with kind of every platform that you could be selling on here in the US. So if you're ready to sell on those new platforms and the platform is ready to sell your product, it's just a matter of plug and play integration. And then again, your inventory will be seen as your inventory. Launching a product on a marketplace, you'll see it as the same product that you have on an Amazon or a TikTok Shop.
Love it. So basically, you're able to sync inventory to all these different places. So if somebody buys, Walmart, now that's one less available on TikTok Shop, wherever else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. That's a good sync up.
Yeah, makes it a lot easier for sure.
Yeah, rather than, I just sold them, now I'm going to go around to.
Yeah, imagine if you had to do that manually. Yeah. So like we have turnkey integrations with a lot of those marketplaces, but sometimes if there's degree of complexity, like if you have thousands of SKUs, like getting that set up, again, working with like an aggregator, like a technology provider that can treat those SKUs as equal across all of the different places that you sell, it just makes things a little bit easier. So again, reach out to me if you have questions about that, because I'm happy to make some introductions.
Awesome. So basically, ShipBob could be someone's partner for all kinds of different things. We talked a lot about fulfillment. So what about getting stuff into ShipBob?
Yeah. So getting stuff into ShipBob, this is a really well-timed question because we actually have no cutoff dates for receiving inventory. We were able to receive inventory for the holiday season, for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, pretty much down to the minute, down to the wire. And we just extended our SLA cutoffs for same-day shipments to 2 p.m. So right now it's a 3-day receiving time from the time that the product lands in our warehouse for it to be available to ship and sell. So you're looking at 3 days and then 2 p.m. on that third day, and you can have that product ship out to the end customer. So let's say you receive your product your product lands on a Monday, you could have in the customer's hands a direct-to-consumer order by Friday.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because I swear I was looking the other day or last night, I should say, in my inventory in Amazon, and I swear I have some products that show 0 available inventory that they received like 2-3 weeks ago. So
Wow.
that's pretty good.
That's that's a
You're able to
long
have a
time.
3-day turnaround to have it
Yeah.
available for sale.
And that's only like Amazon. That could only get worse as we get closer to Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Oh yeah, it will. Historically,
Yeah, and that's
it will.
as a network, we don't have any, again, no blackout dates, no like receiving requirements. Like we have days that will require you to have your inventory delivered by the time that we can get it out before Christmas. Like there are dates, obviously there are calendar dates that we have to be aware of, but we receive inventory throughout the entirety of the holiday season. There's no day that we won't stop receiving inventory. Like that's a huge market differentiator compared to even in Amazon. They do have cutoff dates where they will stop receiving inventory.
Yeah, or just not give you an appointment if you're trying to.
Or not give you an appointment.
Yeah. Thanks. I'll reach out. Only have 4 SKUs.
Thanks, Easy Stud Rack.
Yes. And it doesn't matter if you have 4 SKUs or 4,000 SKUs.
Yeah,
right?
or 400,000. Yeah, we have solutions. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. All right. So then how does it work as far as like labeling and things of that nature?
Yeah, labeling is a really good question. I think, we best practice across our industry. What we require, we really hope that the standard by which like brands adhere to is that we want to make sure that everything has a UPC barcode. We use scanners in our warehouse. That's how we actually trust against the physical inventory, picking and packing, the eye check from the associate that's actually working the inventory and packing it out to the end order and customer. So best practice across the board UPC labels. Make sure that your inventory is barcoded.
Yes, and if anyone needs UPC barcodes, we are a partner with GS1 US, which we've not officially announced yet. But maybe I let the cat out of the bag. But we can help you with GS1 barcodes if anyone needs them. Get with me.
Fantastic.
I can send you a link. I think we can even save you money on it. So, but just reach out to me. But what about the folks? I know this is going to be a question that some folks have. So in Amazon, if you are brand registered, you can get what's called the GTIN exemption, meaning you don't need a UPC or EAN if you're brand registered. So for folks who are in that boat, who maybe they have a suite of non-UPC products, and now they want to sell them off Amazon, how would they do that in experience?
I know Amazon has like their own labeling sort of like language and structure. We can do UPC labeling in our warehouses. So if you send us inventory that's not UPC labeled, we can actually put in a kitting request and get all of that inventory labeled. It's not an absolute requirement, but it is best practice. It's really going to help reduce mix and shrink. We are a 3PL that represents like hundreds of millions of orders every month through the carrier network. So if you want to take advantage of the network effects of that, I think, again, just seeing your product, setting your product up for success, right? Like creating a unique check against our processes, which again is the UPC barcode. It helps us identify, yes, this is absolutely the product that should be shipping, or no, it is not. So we're able to do that again once we receive the inventory in for the first time. If you're working with someone on our sales or implementation team, we can create that as like part of the process. It's like one of the first things that happens once the inventory lands to our warehouse. Not a requirement, but again, best practice.
Got it. Okay.
And UPC, and my Amazon guy obviously is a partner, so they can help me with the cheaper, but really, really, really cheap to get UPC with barcode labels.
Yeah, and if you just need one, you can get one with like a annual license for $30.
Yeah.
So, and you can also get blocks of them for way less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely, if you need UPCs, let us know. We can help you out with that. We will be adding content on our website around that in the next probably month or so. But I can still help in the meantime. So, all right. Well, this has been a good conversation. So again, for folks who maybe missed the beginning, who are you again, Meg, and who is ShipBob?
Yeah. My name is Meg. I am a partner manager at ShipBob. I manage our relationship with my Amazon guy and a number of other partners that can help our brands see better volume, better performance on the marketplaces that they sell on. ShipBob itself, we are a tech-enabled I like to say like tech forward, third-party logistics solution and fulfillment offering for direct-to-consumer and e-commerce brands. We can do so much more than direct-to-consumer. Again, we have those direct API integrations with Amazon, so we can support FBM. We're a certified 2-day seller and 2-day fulfiller for Walmart Marketplace. So we have a number of brands that are fulfilling on Walmart Marketplace with us. We work really, really, really closely with the Shopify team. So a number of our brands are on Shopify. We are the fulfillment solution for a brand that is just starting out, that's new direct to consumer. And we're also the fulfillment solution for a 250 million plus GMV brand. We can do everything. We can be your last and we can be your first and your last, as my CMO likes to say. So really, if you're fulfilling online or you have an omni-channel need, if you're a brand that's selling on multiple channels, talk to us, reach out to us. We are a great solution for you.
Yeah, definitely. And if they want to reach out to you directly, it's mglavy@shipbob.com.
Yeah.
Well, good deal. Well, this has been a good conversation. And, hopefully this has helped folks kind of think through some of the things you might want to think about if you are selling off of Amazon this holiday season, and looking at other ways of fulfilling the product. So you're not yourself, setting up a table in your garage and putting labels on all those, which would just be a lot.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot of human capital, and it distracts you from what I think the ethos of a brand is, which is to come out with products that meet your customers' needs and keep them coming back. If you're so tied up in the logistics and the fulfillment of getting like your first iteration of products to the customer, then you can't really grow your brand. You can't grow the value that your customers see in your brand. So outsourcing that and having that, handled by the experts in the case of ShipBob for fulfillment, but also managing Amazon in the case of my Amazon guide, you can turn back inwards and say, how do I want to grow my brand? What kind of brand do we want to be? How do we increase our value for our customers?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.